All right, well, we're a couple minutes after 7, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully we'll have more neighbors join us. Welcome everyone to the College Area Community Council. I am Dina Rogers, and I am pinch hitting for Barbara this evening. Her computer is not functioning in a manner that sees fit to host a meeting, so she's tapped me to help out. And before we get started, I want to introduce our those unique individuals who are, sharing their time and talents with our community to make this happen. And first, Barbara Brown. She is our president, and as I said, I'm Dina Rogers, and I'm the vice president. And then we have Kathy Brimmer, who is our secretary, and Eric Rosenberg, who is our treasurer. I don't see Eric on just yet. And Bob Shulkin, Russell Richards, and Rob Corley are our members at large. Now, do not think that this is some sort of exclusive club, because it is not. If you are a person who's wanting to get involved a little bit more with the community, we would love to have you join us. We meet once a month to kind of go over what's going on in the community and what we want to bring. And please reach out to one of us if you're interested in taking an active role with the community council. We're happy to see everyone tonight. And just in case you don't know, the College Area Community Council is an organization designed as a conduit between the city and our community. It provides a channel for communication, community connection, and opportunities for neighborhood problem solving, which is why we need you all to join us. We encourage your engagement tonight, and if you have a question, you can raise your hand digitally, and hopefully I will notice and and call on you. If I don't notice, somebody else will, and or you can raise your hand physically. And without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully you have an agenda so you can follow along, and if you don't, I have one and I will refer to it liberally. So we'll get started with our Ventura Police Department report, and we have Commander Mike Brown to provide that presentation for us this evening. Thanks, Mike, for joining us, and we're looking forward to what good stuff you've got to tell us.
Thank you, Dina. I appreciate it. Like I mentioned last month, I was asked to present the crime stats and community impact PowerPoint that Chief Dave Dickey gave to our city council. I will do my best. I am not as charismatic as our chief of police is, but I'll do my best to capture his same charisma. I'll get this PowerPoint loaded up on my screen for you. Started. All right. Oops. We'll go back. All righty. So starting with we're not just here to share the data, but we're here to tell a story of how we serve our community, how the Ventura Police Department provides exceptional customer service, how we respond to calls for help, and how we try to build trust within our community. On this slide, you'll see the Ventura Police Department crime stats, and those stats are a combination of person crimes like homicides and rapes and so forth, property crimes like robbery, burglaries, car thefts, and society crimes. Now, society crimes, we've talked a little bit about that when we talked about the crime stats, that like the drug offenses and the weapons offenses and those types of things. Those are oftentimes proactive arrests, that we are making an arrest, but it counts as a crime stat, which also kind of inflates the crime stats. If you were just to take the societal crimes out of it, our crime rate would be just above the county average line that you see there. Other things that also kind of affect our crime stats is we are the county seat. So we have all of the resources here in Ventura between the county hospital, we have the jail, behavioral health, things like that that bring people into Ventura that may not be actual residents. So with that, we also have a transient population with people that come and leave and so forth. They're also brought here by services, and that is what we're looking at. And we're starting to see actually a trend downwards from 2023 as we progress. So where we kind of stand out is 57% of the people that we arrest in Ventura are not Ventura residents. That is, like I talked about, the county resources, tourism. We have a lot of special events in Ventura. We have health and human services, probation departments here, behavioral health. So when other agencies will bring in people on mental health holds, they'll drop them off at our county hospital to be seen by behavioral health, and then they are just let back out. They're not driven back to where they come from, so they end up in Ventura with seeking a lot of those services. With the highest crime rate, and these crime rates are by 1,000 residents per crime for 1,000 residents. And like explained, society is pretty high. We do have a very low homicide rate, and I don't want to jinx anything, but we haven't had a homicide this year at all. Generally, we average about 2 or 3 with some fluctuations per year. So we're seeing a very good trend this year in regards to that. Also, we have a lot of proactive policing, and I would argue that out of the other county areas, we are probably some of the most proactive as far as arrests. We have some of the highest arrest numbers in comparison to other agencies. And like I said, those arrests also kind of unnaturally inflate some of these numbers because of the good work that the officers are doing out there in the street to keep things safe. We talk about our commitment to responsiveness and calls for service. This is a representation of how many calls that we receive between 911 calls, regular non-emergency calls for service, and just the total calls between those. You'll see we average, last year we averaged about 141,000 total calls. Last year we averaged 138,000 calls for service. And we're starting to see a downward trend. That can be explained a couple of different ways. It could be due to our community outreach, which I'll touch on in a little bit, helping people to be a little bit more wiser and educate their kids so they're not out committing crimes, their family members. It could be that people are calling less to report crimes, which I hope is not the case. But you also see sometimes of a trend where crime kind of becomes normalized. Like there's no problem, there's no reason for me to call. There's nothing going to be done about it anyways. I hope that's not the case, but it is a factor that we also have to kind of take into account. But a lot of it is just, because of proactive policing, better informing our residents, problem solving with our community, the active things and community outreach events that we do and so forth, and just helping people be better informed. I think less calls for service doesn't actually mean that there's less work for our officers. A lot of the problems, especially as laws change, things become more complex and take longer time. I can tell you when I was on the streets, it was very, very common to get 2 or 3 arrests in a shift and still be able to take, 3 or 4 reports. Nowadays, 2 or 3 reports can take almost 12 hours just because of the complexities, just the reporting requirements. Now that takes longer to book somebody in a jail, all the medical requirements for books. So there's other things that happen that also start to affect how much time something takes. And when we talk about the crime stats, when we went to the NIBRS reporting system, it just shows that there's just a lot more data. There's a lot more that has to go into it. And there's a lot more complexities, like when you talk about RIPA, the Racial Identifying Profiling Act. We're required to submit to the Department of Justice. Every single person that we stop, we have to fill out a questionnaire that takes 4 to 5 minutes just to show the Department of Justice why we are stopping somebody, whether that's an arrest or even if we just stop them for a traffic infraction. So more and more requirements cause more and more complexities and require more and more time of our officers. We talked about response times. The national goals are 5 and 10 minutes. 5 minutes for priority 1 crimes. That's where it's an active crime in progress. You call, there's somebody breaking into my house, there's somebody actively stealing from my store. Those are priority 1 calls, and we meet that goal with an average of 4 minutes and 15 seconds, well under the 5-minute goal. Priority 2 crimes are where there is an actual person on the property. They may not actively be committing a crime, like a robbery or a burglary, but it's, hey, I have a vagrant on my doorstep and I need that person removed. Hey, this person is entering my store. They've been known to steal from me before, those type of things. So it's still an important call with somebody there that's actually disturbing. And our average response time is 8 minutes and 36 seconds, which is actually a decrease in 3% compared to last year. And then the last is priority 3 calls. These are a lot of our cold case calls, a lot of, hey, my car got broken into last night. I need an officer to respond. Hey, somebody stole my identity and I've got charges on my credit card. Those can be a little bit longer. And the reason that it can end up longer, I try to explain it like it's a waiting, like an emergency room at a hospital. You may have an ailment, but it may not be life-threatening. It may not be, I need to be seen in the next 10 minutes. And you've been waiting and you're just getting ready, your number's gonna be called, and then somebody comes in with a serious injury and they kind of bump the priority and so forth. So that's kind of the constant issue that we're trying to get out there and get responsive and be out there to take your call. But sometimes other priorities happen, which causes the lower priorities to get bumped a little bit. One of the things that we've implemented to try to help with that is we've actually hired civilian employees that aren't sworn officers to go take crime reports for a lot of this stuff where we may not have a suspect on the scene, or it may require very little investigation. We now have civilian officers that will go out there and take these reports, and they work with our sworn officers to help get those people into custody. And then we also have online reporting. If it's something like my car got hit in the middle of the night, I don't know who it is, but I need to make a report. We have online reporting also for some of these little crimes if you don't want to wait for an officer to respond. So again, some of the call complexities can also increase these times as well. So when we talk about uses of force and an arrest, so out of over 83,000 calls for service, which over 5,000 of those will end up in arrest, we only use force 113 times. And that ranges between 110 to 120 per year, but it's a pretty steady number, which when you look at the volume of calls for service and the interactions that our officers have with the public, our officers use force in 0.1% of the calls. And an arrest only occurs in 6% of those calls for service. And out of those uses of force, none of our force has resulted in great bodily injury, which is something that we're extremely proud of. And our use of force is actually down 22% from the other year. I'm sorry, last year. So this is a very good telling thing on the amount of professionalism that our police officers and how well they're trained to deal with complex situations and effect arrests without using force most of the time. We talk about homeless and vagrancy, which is probably our #1 most called and complained about thing in the city. This was the first year we had a fully staffed patrol task force, which just deals with vagrancy and homeless issues. And part of the success I think that we are seeing is we've been implementing a lot more we call family reconnections. The problem people that we're dealing with over and over and over again, trying to reach out to family members, try to get them, especially the people that are resistant to services. Those are the most problematic. If we can get somebody in a program, get them cleaned up, get them away from drugs, get them away from alcohol, we generally have a better success rate in them becoming productive members and not creating more problems or quality of life issues in our community. So by implementing these family reconnections, we've been successful in trying to get the family to help pitch in and help encourage these people, excuse me, to get services and then get them back to where they have that support to be successful. Because if you don't have a family member here and your resistance to services, it's just a lot easier, and we have a lot more success when we do that. So we've also started a new pilot program that's just starting. It's actually going to start this next week. When somebody gets booked into jail, and oftentimes they come from another city, they get booked into jail and then they get released. We are now going to have our patrol task force, if they're willing to take a ride from our officers back to the city they came from and give them a worn handoff to somebody with services, a family member, something like that, we are now actually going to help start driving them out to that spot. That way they're not left in Ventura without any resources and then end up continuing to be additional calls for service, additional arrests, and so forth. So I think in combination with having that fully staffed unit and starting to do some of these reconnections, we're hopeful that we'll see a decrease and more successes in relation to vagrancy and homelessness. When we were talking a little bit about use of forces, and we talk about high quality of service, we on average about 400,000 contacts, people that we actually contact, and that's not necessarily calls for service, but that's on traffic stops or just driving down the street, just interacting with people. We average about 400,000 contacts, and when you start to whittle that down, and then you take into account just the police responses, which is measurable at over 122,000 responses, of which 15,000 just end up in detentions and 5,000 of a little over 5,000 end up arrests. Like when people file complaints, nearly 70% of our complaints are unfounded. And out of over 400,000 contacts, 122,000 police responses, only 62 complaints were actually filed. And when you whittle that down, 70% of those are generally unfounded. It results into 6 sustained complaints out of all of those contacts, which is something that we're extremely proud of. And out of those 6 sustained complaints, 5 of those were for discourtesy. The officer may not have explained something. Maybe they were irritated and they didn't explain something. And we talk to those, we counsel those, and we make sure that doesn't happen again. And out of the 6, the 1 was just for improper tactics. So it's, again, something that we're extremely proud of. We don't have excessive uses of force. We don't have some of these problems that other agencies. We take a lot of pride in how our officers are trained and how they treat the community. And I think these numbers also reflect that as well. We put a high emphasis on professionalism, excellence, and the culture here at our department. So public engagement is a key component, I think, to the success of reducing crimes. And we do a lot of public engagement, to the point it's about 3 different engagements every single week throughout the year. Between the community councils like we're having this evening to explain and to try to get information out to educate people. We also do curbside coffee and chats, where we go out and we give coffee out to the parents as they're bringing their kids to the elementary schools. We do school visit, we do canine demos, we do shop with a cop. We also do coffee with a cop at local coffee shops and so forth to get that public engagement. We have our Citizens Academy. We really try to put an emphasis on outreach, which builds trust. And it also clears up a lot of misinformation. I can tell you personally, after being at a lot of these different functions, there's so much misinformation that people have, which may limit their interactions or hesitancy to contact the police. And through those, they're able to understand, we're able to explain things, and we end up with a lot better relationships and a lot better trust within our community, which ultimately I think enhances safety. So throughout those different events, I think, especially in comparison to other agencies, we go above and beyond with our public engagement. And I think it's an absolute worthwhile investment, for our community and for our officers. Um, I understand community trust isn't built, overnight. It's not built in a crisis. It's built through consistency and thorough everyday contacts and engagements with the public. And I think we are, especially me as a resident of this city and growing up in this area, I wouldn't have chosen any other department to work for, and it's because I grew up in this community, and I I know the professionalism of Ventura PD. I know what they're about, and I couldn't be more proud to serve at this department and live in my community as well. So in closing, we talk about policing with a purpose, although our numbers will say that we have the highest crime rate in the county, which some of those can be reduced because of our proactive policing. We rarely use force, in our engagements with the community. Our connection, I think, is unparalleled in comparison. Um, we listen in everything that we talk about, and you guys bring me your concerns. All go back and we talk about strategies on how we can address those concerns. And not just with this district, but every other district is also doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing in the curbside coffee and chats. We're doing the same thing during our demos and coffee with a cop and shop with a cop. We're bringing these issues back, and we're figuring out how to address your concerns. And I think that just continues to help keep Ventura safe and make that lasting connection. And I think a lot of it speaks to the quality of our officers. With the excellence, the integrity, their professionalism, their respect, and how transparent we are with our community. So with that, I will bring this to a close. And so I don't run out of time, I just want to touch on the current crime stats for the last month, and before I take any questions. And so last month we talked about some crimes like thefts from vehicles in the area of Telegraph and Victoria and Wake Forest. So we actually did identify a juvenile that has been riding. If you think 2 months ago, I said this crime trend looks like somebody on a bike, and sure enough, we identified a juvenile individual that lives in the area, has been committing these crimes, and he's been arrested several times for this. So that issue is being addressed. In comparison to the events from last month, this month, we actually have just two more incidents than last month. And out of that, most of those were contributed to vandalism. We had a weird spike in some vandalism stuff, there wasn't a trend, there was just vandalism issues throughout the area. And we did have 3 catalytic converter thefts in the Empire area. So south of Mills, that south area behind the mall, we did have several catalytic converter thefts in one night, which indicates to me it might be a crew from outside of Ventura that came in, hit a high density area, and then got out of town. With that being said, I'm sure there's going to be a question. Anything I can answer?
I appreciate the speed that you went through that presentation, and I feel like you represented the police department very well with your comments. I found it surprising that Ventura had the highest crime rate, but I guess what you're saying is that when people are arrested and then they're dropped off, and then when they're finished with whatever services, then they're committing crimes later. Is that kind of what you're implying?
That's a small part. That is a part, specifically in our vagrancy population, where they don't have the ability to leave. But out of the people we arrest, over half of them, 57% of them, aren't even Ventura residents. So we bring in our population
Oh,
wells, especially during the workday, during moments like the fair. It attracts people from outside the area to Ventura through these variety of events, and they cause crimes. And when they're arrested, over half of them aren't even residents here in Ventura. So that's
got it.
another issue that obviously inflates our crime rate, is because people are coming outside the area to commit crimes in our city.
Okay, that makes sense. Does anyone else have a question? Jim, do you have a question for Mike?
Yeah, good evening, Mike. I was wondering, I heard there's a 20-foot from the corner rule, and I wonder for parking, I'm wondering if that's being enforced in Ventura.
You know, that's something I'll ask our traffic enforcement. I did hear something recently about that being kind of a new rule. As with any new rules, especially with parking, it's going to take time for that to sink in with the public. I can recall back to, was it 2017 when the cell phone law came out? I was still stopping people 2-3 years later that had no idea the law had gone into practice. So with that, that's when we talk about our community engagement things. That's something that we can start rolling out. We can put it on our social media. Hey, you probably be aware that now there's a new rule, and this has to do with the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists and everything else. Don't park so close to the curb because that hinders the ability for someone to see you. And that's a really good point. And I can touch base with Emily, our public engagement specialist, and see if we've done any messaging about that yet, and try to get that out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any additional questions for Mike? Mike?
I think Vondi has one in the chat after Mike.
Okay, so I'll go first. So we were at the state fair this year and we saw the new horse patrol. I'm just curious on how that's how is that working out for the department?
We have had a lot of success. A lot of people like the horses, and mainly that's another public outreach that we're using to help engage with the public. And they're also very beneficial during the fair. And we're also kind of thinking of maybe trying to implement. So we have a rivalry football game that's coming, and maybe using the horses in a limited capacity, because if there's problems in a parking lot and so forth, they can generally see over the tops of vehicles and so forth, and give another perspective. So they're not really, they're not an enforcement tool. They're mainly a public engagement tool, a way for us to interact with the public. But there always is another component that also helps us. And because this is a brand new program for us, we're really being cautious and careful on how we roll this out, because we want it to be successful, and we want the public to enjoy that. And so far, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any pushback whatsoever. Everybody loves them, and they're requesting them at all kinds of different venues.
And then, as Kathy mentioned in the chat, there's a question. It looks like from Vondi. How has the issue with increased ICE presence affected Ventura?
It has. I wouldn't say we've had a lot of incidents. And when ICE was very, very active in our area, we did have a few incidents, but it has subsided. And a lot of that, we talk about misinformation. A lot of this has been misinformation, where just like our detectives are out serving search warrants, and people come out and mistaken them for ICE, or even when we did SWAT training and we're at a building, people came out and thought we were ICE. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. And what we have asked for from our federal partners is, if they are going to do an operation, to please let us know, so that we can message that out. But we do not participate in any of the federal activities. The only thing that we respond to is the incident in Camarillo that happened, that was well publicized on the news. If there was a large crowd and they needed protection for their safety, that would be something that we would respond to, just help protect safety and maintain order. We are obligated by state law to not work with them in any immigration enforcement capacity at all whatsoever. So like I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There is a lot of concern. We field these questions during our public outreach all the time, and the public is generally very happy when they hear this from us.
Okay, and then just one last question, and then we're gonna be moving on to the college update. But Barb asked, are the thefts from the cars, are they unlocked cars?
So most of those, yes, have been unlocked cars. And typically, any of the times that they're not from unlocked cars is when things are in plain sight and then they break a window.
Okay.
But they're classified as thefts from vehicles. Otherwise, they'd be vehicle burglaries if they were. So when I see vehicle thefts or thefts from vehicles, that tells me that they're unlocked. And a majority are people forgetting that their car is unlocked and leaving stuff in plain sight. Oftentimes, people will notice someone walking around and checking door handles. Though that's the type of activity that you should report immediately. Because that's actually one of the ways that we caught this individual was somebody saw him checking door handles. I was actually working as a watch commander and my detectives have been working this case. So I recognized immediately and got a hold of the officers and I said, hey, look, here's the area. Here's a person of interest. And it actually turned out to be the person that we thought it was. Because it was juvenile, I can't release any information. But it's when people see that activity and they report it, that's what helps the success of us catching them in the moment.
That's good. That's good information.
Excuse me, Officer Brown, did you say that the juvenile who was stealing from cars had been arrested more than once?
Yes.
So
And this is
parents,
yes.
parents
Yes, you're hitting right on
somewhere.
it. Yes, parents are aware. You know, I because he's a juvenile, I can't get into details, but it is one of the frustrating things with the justice system, specifically when it comes to juveniles. A lot of people would think that we can just go book him into juvenile hall, and just like we would an adult, that's not always the case. Juveniles can't be booked into juvenile hall unless it's a violent felony. And that is something that's just one of those changes that we have to deal with. And so it takes some time for these offenses to catch up with juveniles before they get put on probation, whether they're monitored electronically and so forth. So this is where we need help with the community when they see something, say something, and we can continue with these enforcement actions.
Along those lines, just real quickly here. So would we report that? There's a question from Nadine. Would we report that to the business line, or is that where we would call if we saw something like that going on?
If you see something in progress, absolutely call 911.
Okay.
Those calls come to the same dispatch center.
Okay.
And 911 calls are prioritized. If something is actively happening in the city and you call the non-emergency line and it's something that's in progress, you may get put on hold. So if it's a crime in progress, I would just say call 911. You're going to get the same area. If you call from a cell phone near the freeway, you might get CHP, but they will direct you back to us and into our dispatch center.
Okay. We're getting ready to bring Vanessa on for a Ventura College update, but I do see one last question about has there been any follow-up to the converter thefts? And this is going to be our last question for Mike.
We do follow up with those. Our task force did assist the sheriff's department's task force, I'm sorry, with a major arrest. I spoke a little bit about last month down in Riverside in San Bernardino area. This is something that we really need the public's help when they see something like that, is to try to get the information to us specifically. A lot of these crews are using stolen vehicles down in San Diego from tow yards, or they steal someone's license plates and they would call cold swapping the plates. So trying to track down vehicle plates is very difficult. We have to capture these guys generally in the progress. And so that's why we ask the public's help with trying to get these guys.
Thank you, Mike. That is a very thorough report, and we really appreciate your time and thank you for being here with us.
It's my honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we have Vanessa from Ventura College, and she's going to give us an update about what's going on at Ventura College. She's the Director of Outreach and Marketing. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good evening. Very exciting to share some wonderful updates tonight. And let me just grab my presentation. There we are. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here as always. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. So
Yep.
talk a little bit about what's been happening around campus. So we've been making some much needed improvements around campus. There's been fresh paint that's been added to several key buildings, and this includes our administration building, the campus center, and the athletic event center as well. So this makes it really nice and clean and refreshed campus look, which has been really wonderful to invite back a lot of our students to campus. It's just beautiful to see the buildings. It actually makes a huge difference. So if you're walking around campus in the evening, take a look around. It's got a really nice, fresh look that our students are really pleased to see. If you've been around the town in Ventura, it's probably no surprise that Ventura College is turning 100 years old. We actually turn 100 years old this Friday. We were founded on August 29th, 1925. So it's hard to believe that we turned 100 years old this Friday. And we've been kicking off with some really wonderful celebrations. And so, you know, we have our banners around town, and anywhere that you're driving, you may see some of our billboards. We're really trying to build awareness to the 100 years that Ventura College has been in our community, which has been so much fun. And as a matter of fact, this is so timely. Tomorrow, I would love to see our members from College Area Community Council join us for one of our public events. We have our Visual and Performing Arts Centennial Celebration, as well as the opening reception for Roots. And it's 100 Roots, 100 years of artistic excellence at Ventura College. And so this exhibition was created by Donna Granada, founder of Focus on the Masters, and it featured different portraits that do highlight very influential Ventura County, artists connected to art and music. We also are going to be unveiling our mural. So we had a beautiful mural on campus, and we're going to be joined by Andrew Rodriguez. He is not only alumni of Ventura College, but he is a locally known artist. I know a lot of his stuff's at the Bell Arts Factory in the, please don't quote me on that, but the on the west side of Ventura. We're so happy to have him tomorrow, and we're also going to have some wonderful performances, Danza Azteca Sotropili, as well as our VC student jazz combo and some light refreshments. So it starts tomorrow at 5 p.m., goes on to about 8 p.m., and there is free parking for those who want to join us on our north and west lots. A lot of fun activities. The other one, another big invite to have everybody come to, is our 100-year football game. So Ventura College is 100 years old. Our football team, is also turning 100 years old. They've been with Ventura College for just as long as the college has been around. And so we do have our football centennial game on Saturday, September 6th. And we're going to be kicking off at 6 p.m. So we're going to be at the VC Sportsplex. We're going to be having a game against the Fullerton College Hornets, and it's the home opener for the 2025 season. So we're going to be bringing back some notable alumni from not only VC football, but also VC history that are going to be honored during the halftime show. So tickets are on sale now. And all the fans that come to the game will receive a commemorative rally towel. And we're encouraging everyone to wear black to really show some pirate pride. So if you can join us for that game, it's not this Saturday during this long, beautiful holiday, but it's the following Saturday, September 6th, 6 p.m. It's going to be a really, really great game. So my last thing is that it's not too late to apply. So Ventura College, we just had the start of the semester on August 11th. It was beautiful. We had a great turnout of students. It was just a wonderful time, a lot of energy and buzzing. And then with the 100-year, it was just a wonderful start to us in our semester. But that doesn't mean we don't still have classes still available. And we also have classes that start every single month. So even September 8th, we have some business courses and computer science courses. We also have classes starting in October for accounting and criminal justice. So it's not too late to apply, and it's also not too late to learn something new. So I always love to plug that. So if you're looking to start any courses, any fun, visit our Welcome Center. They're always here to help with that. And then the last thing I'll leave you with, because it's still not live, is keep an eye on the Ventura College website. It's related to our 100-year anniversary. Our birthday is this Friday. So on Friday, we're going to be unveiling some really fun stuff on the website itself. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be at venturacollege.edu. So it'll be a lot of fun. And that's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Vanessa. I do see one question for Vanessa from Mike Blumenberg. And that question is there any chance VC can offer lifelong learning or art classes for adults sometime in the future?
Lifelong learning for adults?
Correct.
Because we do offer art classes for the community to join. So I guess what exactly lifelong learning?
If Mike is can unmute himself, maybe he can ask. I kind of reckon it to like Parks and Recs swimming versus club swimming, and so this would be, you know, I'm thinking he's probably Mike. Or did you want to chime in?
It's actually, I'm Mike's wife, Jennifer. I'm the one who wrote the question.
Yeah.
No, it's just kind of like Santa Barbara City College offers a lot of like kind of older adult, you know, like for different classes. They offer all kinds of different art classes. You know, Cal State Channel Islands has like some lifelong learning. So, you know, just not for wanting to get credit or, you know, be in a class with where you're the only, you know, adult with, you know, high school, you know, kids who are just graduating from high school. I mean, I did do a class at Ventura College a couple of years ago. I did do an art class and it was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it, but you know, I was the only person in my age there. So I just wondered if, you know, do they have any plans to offer, you know, to the wider community kind of older adult sort of classes is what I was thinking.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. I really love to hear that you've taken a class here and enjoyed it. I will get some more information regarding that. I know that there's been some talks of that, but I at this moment, I don't have too much to share about it, but I think it's a wonderful suggestion. So I hope to provide some information in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thank you, Jennifer, for that question.
Thank you.
And does anyone else have any other questions for Vanessa? I don't, I'm not seeing everybody on my screen. Is that Shri? I see a hand up, but the person Shri's muted. All right. Well,
yeah, I don't have my hand up. I'm
okay.
here, but I don't have my. But really quickly, I was putting something in the chat. I was just going to say in the chat.
I have ESP.
Now that yeah, I guess you have ESP. That I do think it's a good idea. Classes that would be for older people. Maybe it's the time of day that would make. You know, we have such a retiree community here. We have a lot of just affluent retirees who could afford to take a class. And I think it would be successful. So just throwing it out there.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Vanessa. We appreciate you joining us as usual. And we look forward to seeing you again next month.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you all and hopefully seeing you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Next up, we have an update about the Parks and Recreation Department update. And our guest is Stephen DeFratus. Is that how you pronounce your name, Stephen?
Yeah,
Stephen?
yeah, thank you. It's DeFreitas.
DeFreitas,
Yes,
DeFreitas.
awesome. So let me see if I can share my screen. Please confirm if you could see it or not.
I can see it.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for including us into this presentation. Specifically, shout out to Kathy, former Parks and Rec Commissioner, and longtime friend too. So a little bit about myself before I dive in. So my name's Stephen Fratus. I'm the Recreation Division Manager with our department. I am also a resident. I got two boys, school-aged boys. So if you hear kicking and screaming, it's bath time in the DeFreitas household. So bear with me. I've been full-time with the city since 2014. I actually started in 2011 as an extra help staff in our after-school programs, and have moved into the coordinator role 2014, helped move into the community partnerships division, helping oversee senior services, our special event permits, have worked with a lot of familiar faces actually on this call in the past in that capacity. And within the last, I'd say about 3 years, moved into the recreation division manager role. So that's a little bit about me, and I will jump into this next slide here. So a little bit about our team. So this is kind of where I fit into our team. I'm sure there are no strangers pictured here, but we are led by our director, Stacy Zarzua. Our assistant director is Emily Fox. Heather Melton is our parks manager, and Rebecca Ellis is our community partnerships manager. Fun fact about this group here is actually three, including myself, had all started with the city as extra help staff in one capacity or other. So we take great pride when we have the opportunity to promote within, maintain that institutional knowledge, and it really helps us really connect with the community, build relationships within the community, and so we're happy and I'm happy to be a part of that myself. So those leaders are actually part of you can kind of see a little graph at the bottom left-hand side here. We're labeled as kind of the administrative role within our department. Pictured here is our department team at a recent gathering that we had, a post-summer gathering meeting that we had. But the Parks and Rec department is made up of obviously parks and recreation. More recently, within the last couple of years, although we had taken it out of the title just for nationwide consistency, the community partnerships division is still a massive part of our team. So piggybacking when putting this together, thought it was an awesome opportunity for those of you that follow the Parks and Recs social media networks, mainly Instagram, Facebook. It's a great way to stay actually informed with what we're doing, some initiatives that not just the city, but the Parks and Rec department are running on. But more recently, in recognition, since July is National Parks and Recreation Month, I had the capability to pull together a couple cool stats that I'd like to share. It was really hard to condense some of our successes within just a couple slides. So if some of these next couple slides seem a little bit beefy, I'd be happy to share the slideshow with the members of this community council if they wanted to share out or post or link out to it, and I'd be happy to provide that. So I won't go into all the details in here. Really just some of the cool, highlights and that we're super proud of. Obviously, we're proud of all these, but our Parks Department, our Parks Division help oversee and maintain over about 800 acres of park spaces throughout the year. Within the last year, we planted 109 trees. I know there's also some familiar, faces and advocates that really help with that initiative too, that are on this call. So yay. We maintain over 31,000 trees within the city. Massive shout out to our urban beautification team, our graffiti response team, over 3,000 responses there. Jumping into my bread and butter, where I started in our after school programs. We've provided free after school care to over 550 students, and we've been doing that in partnership with the school district for since 2001, 2002, so quite a long time. Over the past year, we've enrolled over 15,000 people in our recreation programs. I'll dive into a little bit. I'm sure you're all familiar with receiving the seasonal recreation guide that has a lot of our opportunities in there, a lot of information in there. And huge props to our urban beautification team, who voted by our own city staff, was recognized as won the team award within their city. So it's always awesome to celebrate a team within our department. They do a phenomenal job. They work countless hours. They respond, the response times are obviously second to probably our police unit, if not, right there with them. So we're very happy to have them on board. Onto our next slide here is we also serve over 30,000 home delivered or served 30,000 meals. That's comprised of just congregate meals over at our Ventura Avenue Adult Center and to our homebound meal recipients, where we have volunteers who help drive those out weekly to those that are homebound seniors. In my previous role, now overseen by Miss Allison Perez, provided 75 permitted events. Each one of those events require a permit. So it's awesome to work with organizers to make sure that those are permitted, vetted, approved, and able to get out there within our community so we can go enjoy those. Our whole team is, we employ 61 full-time employees and a massive over 150 part-time employees in order to provide the services that we do, the classes, the support we need at some of our events, our community centers, our summer camps, and we're constantly recruiting too. So, and it's a really great start. As I mentioned, it was a great start for 3 of us in the leadership team now. Hats off to our customer service team. Over 3,500 customers served at City Hall. Over 6,000 service calls answered to our Parks and Recreation team. Again, they work tremendous. They help. When they don't know the answer, they streamline the process to get it to the folks that can help with that. So onto some current projects or some past projects that we're really proud of within or attached to the Parks and Recreation Department, more recently over at Ventura Community Park, along with a couple other sites, but just spotlighting Ventura Community Park's solar project. Those were installed within the past couple of months, and our environmental sustainability team is actually tracking it with a dashboard here. And had mentioned that if anybody had questions on the analytics here, that I would connect them with Logan Babcock, who is our environmental sustainability specialist that could answer the comparable energy that's referenced here to trees, water, gas, and methane. But very impressive, and it helps that park with their energy sources, especially within that park. We have our pool and our lighted sports fields out there. So awesome efforts there. We're really proud about that. In a couple months ago. Luckily, right towards the beginning of our summer season, we finally got to do the ribbon cutting over at our Marina Park playground and our rebuild project that had taken place there. Down below is a picture of the members that were out there, our council member, our mayor, and what do you know there? I think that might be a Bill Ayub showing. So props to Bill. Thanks for the support out there, always. Very exciting. Tomorrow, it's actually really timely being on this call, but tomorrow is our West Park Skate Park grand opening event. So excited to have the gates down. So that our skateboard enthusiasts in the community that have been advocates for quite a long time to help get this project alone, provide their input on it, and really help champion and get this project to the place that it is with the design and whatnot. So that's tomorrow, and that's actually at West Park Community. It's going to start at West Park Community Center tomorrow, 4 p.m. We're going to gather, do a little bit of ribbon cutting event, and then we're going to open up. It's going to be an open skate event. So very excited to be there. Please go check it out. If not tomorrow, you're not a big fan of crowds, please, swing by, go walk it. It's right next to the revitalized river trail. Go check out. It's a pretty massive amenity out there, and comes with a really neat art component out there as well. So very excited. I'll be out there tomorrow. I'm sure Bill and other members will be out there as well. And then I believe this is my second to last slide. So right now, we are working out of our fall activity guide. As I mentioned, we come out with that seasonally. So we have 3 of these right now. Like I said, fall, we're working on there. Please flip through that. If you do not have that handy anymore, you can find it online at the City of Ventura Parks and Rec webpage. Music Under the Stars is our summer concert series, and on 9/6 is the final concert event. So if you don't have tickets, or you don't have a friend that might have tickets, I'm not sure, I believe it might be sold out. Maybe you can convince a friend to maybe kick down an extra ticket from them if they still have extras there. As I mentioned, we're always hiring. Currently, we have moved to ongoing recruitments for not after school programs. We have VYBA coming up that we'll be hiring for officials and gym supervisors. Again, another great start for if you have an individual nearby that is just getting their work permit, or just even an active adult that wants to go run up and down the court and provide a fun and safe experience at one of our gyms. Bring it on. We definitely want it. The team would appreciate it, and you'd be giving back to the athletic sports community in a big way. I want to promote our youth scholarships opportunities. For those that can't really afford some of the opportunities that we have listed in there on a seasonal basis, a family can apply for assistance. We handle the applications in-house, and you'll work with a member of our customer service team to provide all the needed documents, and then they will provide based on where you fall in either priority or affordability. You'll be provided an opportunity to offset some of the costs within our programs. We want everybody to participate. And then our after-school programs, we are opening up space. There is still space to in our after-school programs over at West Park. If you are hearing a parent or a guardian that helps oversee kiddos that unsure of where they can go after school, West Park is open. It's a fun space. It's actually has the city's only gym space too, so we take advantage of that over there, and it's an awesome enrichment opportunity for our school-aged kiddos, grades 1 through 5. And then lastly, if you want to get a hold of me, or if you want to get a hold of a member of our team, you're not sure who to call, you can't locate the right number in the activity guide or online, please take a snapshot of this contact information here on the left-hand side. If you want to streamline and assist with us, and you want to try to tackle or help assist tackling an issue with a tree or sidewalk repair or pothole or traffic issue, please utilize Ventura Connects. That goes directly into it's basically a service call, a work order. You have the capability to log in, take a snapshot, drop a pin for the exact location. Sometimes identifying a location can be tricky. This app, the efforts that our IT team and our GIS team have done to bring this possibility to our residents is a game changer. So please take advantage of that, especially when you don't know who to call. This will guide you right through how to submit a work order whenever you see the one out in the community. So that concludes my presentation. I think I'll stop sharing here. And if I have time, yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. I do see a question for you, and we might have others, but there's a question that was asked: have our meal services been affected by the Meals on Wheels cutbacks?
So nothing's been brought to my attention yet. I can definitely check in with our senior services team. We do know that that funding is in partnership, not just through the state, but through our county. It's a partnership with our county. I haven't heard of any effects yet. So for the time being, we are going to try to serve as many as we can based on the contract that we have in place.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions for Stephen this evening?
Jim had congratulations for Parks and Rec. Ventura has some amazing parks. Aurora Verde named the best park. Oh, Aurora Verde. Oh, well, I'm not, Jim, help me out here.
Okay, I'm unmuted here. Yeah, Aurora Verde is an amazing park. We've planted trees up there with the Tree Alliance, and it's just so cool. I've been there so many times, and it's only $2 to park on the weekends. I think it's $2. Yes.
I think it's somewhere in there. Yeah, it's
Two
pretty
is
affordable.
free, but yeah, I've never gone on a weekend, and I went to a party there a couple weeks ago that a local vendor had, and it was like so cool. It's just a great park. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the shout out.
And there's a shout out about our aquatic center too. Bondi remarks that it's amazing.
We are very lucky. We're celebrating, I think 20 years this year is that we've had that aquatic center. It's been great. It's a great opportunity for us to provide that life-saving skill to our young, swimmers, especially being an aquatic-based and beach side community. So yes, I agree. And thank you for the shout out.
It is
Okay.
lovely pools.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, I see Carol has a raised hand. So it's definitely a raised hand this time. I don't know, Carol, did you have a comment?
I just turned on my speaker. I'd like to know the exact spot behind Stephen's head. What part are we looking at? See? I mean, it looks like a little river.
In your background.
So that is Kellogg Park.
Which one?
Kellogg Park. It's off of the avenue.
Oh, I know
Ventura
Kellogg.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not familiar, go check it out too. Another great one, and it's very walkable, friendly, congregate area. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Since I haven't been there, I mean, I've walked the side of it, but not inside. I didn't know it looked so nice.
It's a super busy park. A friend of mine and I have garden plots over behind it at Kellogg Garden. And that park, I've never been over there to the garden that the park isn't full of people playing, kids playing, people walking. It's heavily used.
They need
Well,
it.
that's a great thing.
Yeah, they needed it so badly when they built it.
Yeah.
Waited a long time. Good. Thank you.
Nadine, did you have a question?
Well, since we're doing shout outs, I wanted to give Stephen a shout out. He was an excellent podcast guest when I interviewed him about Marina Park. I posted the link and the link to the whole series of the parks that I've done so far. And I will be at West Park tomorrow recording.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. And thanks for joining us. And we can't wait to hear from you the next time.
Thank you.
All right. And next up, we'll have a presentation from the Ventura Emergency Manager, Mack Douglas, on emergency planning. Welcome, Mack.
Good evening, everyone. Just confirming that you can see my screen share okay?
Yes.
Alrighty. Thank you for having me. I'm Mackenzie Douglas, and I am the Emergency Services Manager for the Ventura Police Department. I'm here tonight to talk about recent events in emergency management and disaster preparedness and offer my thoughts on what they mean for all of us, public and public servants alike. Let's start with some context. Emergency response and preparedness are resource intensive. Facilities, equipment, plans, trained personnel, all these things cost money. In the best of times, the level of interest in what my colleagues and I do and the resources that are made available to us tend to vary with how recent and how impactful the last incident was. For example, some of the equipment that I use to do my job, like the city's mobile command posts, are relics of federal funds made available in the wake of the 9/11 attacks. This sets up a cycle that rewards first responders at every level of government with appropriate tools only after we or someone else fail those we serve. That, as I said, is typical of the best of times in my industry. This is not the best of times. I doubt that it comes as a surprise to this audience that recent occurrences at the federal level have had concerning effects on the availability of resources that people in my role across the country rely on in order to do our jobs. I'm trying to get my slide to advance there. The Palisades and Eaton fires have been described with almost every superlative that I can think of, and rightfully so. Certainly, climatic conditions and other factors beyond human control contributed to the magnitude of those blazes, but pretending that nothing could have been done better is not to put too fine a point on it, a potentially lethal combination of hubris and stupidity. Every time a major incident like the Eaton or Palisades fire occurs, it's an opportunity for all of us, but especially those of us in the public safety community, to learn lessons that have been paid for by the suffering and in many cases the lives of our fellows. I'll wrap up this snapshot with this uplifting thought. In some circles, the existence and nature of climate change remain topics of debate. In my view, that debate and how folks feel about it are somewhat less than relevant to my work. What matters to me is that the frequency, scale, and severity of climate-driven impacts are all demonstrably increasing. I've been with the city of Ventura for almost 3 years now, and I'm hopeful that this will be my first year that we haven't been hit with the storm that garners a presidential disaster declaration. The long-term trend is unlikely to improve. What does this all mean in broad strokes? It means that folks, members of the public, need to recognize that there are very real, very hard limits on the ability of first responders to respond to everybody's needs in the immediate phase after a major incident. In turn, this means that everyone, me, you, my family, your family, and the folks next door, need to step up to the plate and take ownership of our own preparedness. It also means that local public agencies, the county, the city, the Ventura Police Department, need to be ready to adapt to whatever comes next with respect to resource funding and allocation at the federal level. It also means that we need to place greater priority on efforts to empower individual members of the community whenever we have the resources to do so. Let's focus on the hazards that the city of Ventura faces. Most of these won't come as a surprise to any of you. Have you guys all been enjoying those earthquakes we've had lately? I certainly haven't. My daughters have their duck and cover drills down pat, but coaxing my younger one out from under the over-engineered bunk bed that I built specifically for this purpose is getting old. The community still bears scars from the Thomas Fire, and I'm sure that I wasn't the only one holding my breath on November 6th last year when the mountain fire came down South Mountain and afternoon winds were forecast to blow it toward Ventura. While it would take a truly historic storm to cause significant flooding on either the Santa Clara or Ventura rivers, both of those watersheds are subject to potential dam failures. While Matilaha Dam is mostly silted up and poses little threat to the Ventura River, the same can't be said of Lake Casitas. On the Santa Clara, we have the Santa Felicia Dam that impounds Lake Piru. Further up that watershed, we have the Pyramid Dam. Chances are good that if the Pyramid Dam failed, it would take the Piru Dam with it. All of that said, dam failure is my favorite type of disaster. In the event of a dam failure, it's likely that we'd have hours of warning to evacuate the inundation zone before the water arrives. Landslides and tsunamis may not offer the luxury of lead time to order and execute an evacuation. While we do have a robust tsunami warning system that would give us time to prepare for the arrival of a distant source tsunami, there is a fault that comes ashore near Surfers Point. There's a possibility that it could generate a significant tsunami that would arrive in Ventura's coastal area with less than 15 minutes of warning. On the man-made side of things, we have a variety of industrial uses in town that maintain stocks of hazardous chemicals on site. That said, materials needn't be of an exotic nature to pose a serious threat. Here's an example. As some of you may be aware, in late September of last year, there was an issue with a fuel station in the Pierpont area that resulted in a leak of some 2,000 gallons of gasoline into the ground. A substantial portion of that gasoline wound up in the sewer system. On 2 separate days, the amount of gasoline fumes in the sewer system was found to exceed the lower explosive limit on Bayshore Avenue. In other words, we had roughly a half-mile-long bomb under city streets for several hours until a multi-agency hazmat response led by Ventura City Fire was able to ventilate the sewer system. I was part of the incident command for both of those days, and I will tell you what, I was so toasted by the time that I got home that I didn't even have the energy to swear when I backed my truck into my mom's parked car. Now that we've gotten the good news out of the way, let's talk about what Ventura's public safety team is doing about some of these issues and how the public can help. We're working to learn lessons from the Palisades and Eaton fires. Chief among those lessons is the importance of timely and accurate evacuation warnings and orders. I was and remain a strong supporter of alerting the public early and often, and in the wake of recent events, I feel more secure than ever in that position. At the end of the day, I'd rather be accused of crying wolf than being asleep at the switch. We'll talk a bit more about evacuation terminology later, but while we're on the subject, please consider evacuating as soon as you get a warning instead of waiting for that warning to become an order. You could save your life and you could save others by helping spread out a mass evacuation exodus over time. We are also in the process of updating the city's emergency operations plan. That plan is typically updated every 5 years, and we're coming up on that milestone. But there are also several, tactical level playbooks, operational orders, and recommendations from after action reports and revisions and refinements that need to be incorporated into the EOP. It is my vision to turn the EOP into more of a living document, and a training tool than just the statutorily required dust collecting tome that it kind of has been in the past. We're also actively engaged in supporting California's renewed push to enact fire hardening legislation that would require residents to remove combustible materials from a 5-foot perimeter around homes and high fire hazard severity zones. I'll show you some examples of why that's important in a moment. While we wait for the regulations to come into effect, I would urge those of you who reside in high fire hazard severity zones, which in the college area is a lot of you guys, to reach out to the Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council for a free home hardening assessment. They'll come out, they'll take a look at your property, and they'll let you know what you can do to harden your property against the wildfire threat. As a result of the mountain fire and the Eaton fire, there are some pots of money that are now available to local governments to support mitigation projects. I'm working with my colleagues in the Ventura City Fire Department to make sure that we apply for every dime that we can get to prepare our infrastructure and our community for the incidents to come. I'm pleased to announce that last night, your city council approved a letter of commitment that will allow us to move forward with a $1.5 million grant-funded program that aims to reduce fire hazards in city-owned barankas. Up on the screen right now, I have a map of the areas that we plan to focus on. Probably of greatest importance to you guys will be the Harmon Barranca area. The purpose of this grant work is to remove dead, diseased, and dying vegetation. We're not looking to cut down or remove healthy vegetation. We'll also be creating fuel breaks to slow fire spread and allow suppression efforts to halt forward progress. And at the end of all of this, we'll be looking to selectively plant certain slopes with native species to help stabilize those slopes and lessen the impacts of erosion during major storms. Alrighty. So as far as Zone 0 is concerned, you guys can all see that these are homes that stand alone against kind of an apocalyptic background. These homes survived because their owners took steps to harden them and to create that 5-foot safety zone around the building. This is critically important. I looking at the pictures from Eaton and Palisades and going out there and visiting friends and family who lost homes, I know it sounds like a major effort, but I can't overstate how worth it is to pursue this. Last year, we completed our citywide evacuation planning zone process. The College Area Community Council contains pieces of zones 2, 3, and 6. And recently, we went back and further subdivided those zones, and we now have an online map available so folks can look that up themselves. I'm going to throw that up on the screen right here to kind of show you how that works. And I'll drop the link in the chat right now. I can figure out how to expand. There we go. So somebody throw out an address for me.
308 Agnes Drive.
308 Agnes Drive. Okay, so that's going to locate you. That's coming up as Santa Maria, California. Is there one in Ventura?
777 Alverstone. Oh, sorry.
Agnes is spelled Agnus.
That would be it. All right, so that it's showing you your major outline is zone 2, and then within zone 2, you're part of subzone Ventura 02-13. The reason that we did this further subdivision is twofold. One, we wanted to align our maps with what the county is putting out for their evacuation maps. And we also wanted to give incident commanders the ability to kind of surgically tailor the areas that we're going to evacuate so we don't over evacuate and clog the streets with traffic that doesn't need to be there. Just let me switch back to my PowerPoint here. So the traffic flow is fairly straightforward. In zone 2, the major thoroughfares are going to be on Loma Vista and on Main Street. In zone 3, the evacuation strategy for zone 3 is to push people who are furthest north and the closest to the wild and urban interface down to Foothill, and then work from the north down to the south. And in that area, our major evacuation routes are Skyline down to Foothill and then down to Day Road. And over on the other side, using High Point as the major thoroughfare, again, down to Foothill Road. In Zone 6, the major thoroughfares are Loma Vista, Telegraph, Day Road, Victoria, and Mills. And all of these are available on our website, which I will also drop into the chat when I'm done with the presentation here. Let's take a minute to talk about evacuation terminology. You might wonder why I have pictures of pizza and pizza ingredients up here. When I was working on the evacuation plan last year, my eldest asked me what the difference between an evacuation order and a warning is. And I told her that an evacuation warning is akin to having the ingredients for a pizza. They're properly portioned, they're out. There's a serious chance that we could have a pizza. An evacuation order is the pizza has been in the oven, it's steaming hot, it's coming out, and it's ready to eat. That explanation seemed to work really well for her, so I've continued to use it. An evacuation order is a lawful order, by law issued by the chief of police or his designee. VPD is not going to come drag you out of your house at gunpoint to make you evacuate. But if you have waited for a warning to become an evacuation order, you've waited too long. And then the third alert that we'll send out that's kind of adjacent to evacuation orders or warnings is a shelter in place. We typically do these kinds of things for, let's say that we have a SWAT call out or other police activity going on, or there's a hazmat issue occurring. Let's see. In addition to everything else that we've been doing, we're dedicating every resource we can to help enhance preparedness at the individual and community group level. That includes continuing our Community Emergency Response Team program, also known as CERT. In addition to CERT, earlier this year, we worked with the Ondalando Firewise community to pilot the Ready Your Ventura neighborhood program. And we'll talk about those things in a little bit. Let's see. We're also working on an ignition source reduction program that's grant funded. Most of the non-structure fire ignitions that we have in the city come from two specific places. Would anybody in the group care to guess what those two places are?
I guess Riverbed and Barranca.
Good guess. It's the Santa Clara and the Ventura River. We were recently able to amend an existing grant to support this initiative, to use existing staff and equipment to go down to the river bottom areas to identify, map, and perform outreach and education to abate fire hazards in those areas. We'll also be making environmentally friendly and inexpensive flameless ration heaters available to individuals in those areas as an alternative to cooking and warming fires. We're also using those interactions as an opportunity to further the good work of VPD's Patrol Task Force, which Commander Brown touched on earlier, by connecting unhoused folks with services appropriate to their needs or offering family reconnection services. I'm painfully aware that this isn't a solution to the underlying problem, but it is my hope that these efforts will lead to behavioral changes that'll reduce wildfire ignitions in the river bottoms and thus reduce overall risk for the city. The city will be accepting applications for our next CERT class in late spring 2026 for the spring-summer 2026 CERT session. If you're interested, please keep an eye on the city's social media and websites for more information when those applications go live. We also might have a need for volunteers when we do our drill days. So if you're interested in participating in that, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'll just briefly shout out my family here. My mom has come and been a victim for us a couple of times. I think it is hilarious to take pictures of her like this and then send it to my grandpa with no further explanation. And then these are my daughters helping me fill up the fire extinguishers the night before drill day. In addition to CERT, we'll be rolling out the Ready Your Ventura Neighborhood, or RYVN program, on September 1st to coincide with National Preparedness Month. RYVN was born out of the evacuation plan process that the city went through last year. It quickly became apparent that there are limitations on how many people we can get through CERT in a given time. Radio Ventura Neighborhood offers a framework for neighborhoods, community councils, and other community groups to set up their own disaster response and recovery teams by leveraging existing skills and relationships while building new ones with friends and neighbors. We're excited to offer this tool to organizations like your community council, and we're very hopeful that you will take us up, take advantage of the program to empower yourselves and your neighbors. And I'm not sure where the formatting got sideways on this one. But we're also offering workshops where I'll come out and kind of walk you guys through the first meeting and how to use the framework and the guidebook that encompasses RYVN. Another important step in enhancing your own readiness is improving and maintaining your situational awareness. This page includes a number of free tools that you can take advantage of to help you be more aware of what is going on around you, as well as to receive emergency messages and alerts. The most important thing up here is VC Alert. VC Alert is an opt-in system, and it is the best tool that I have to communicate emergency notifications and messaging to the public. The QR code that's up there will take you to the sign-up page. We also have the Watch Duty website and app. The city has an emergency alert page that's dedicated to pushing out information. We also make frequent use of our social media accounts. I also highly recommend the CSIM/LastQuake app, which is available on the Apple and Android stores. The MyShake app is an app that will give you a little bit of advance warning before an earthquake affects your area. It's still in its kind of beta testing phase. I have seen it work perfectly, and then I've seen a couple of earthquakes roll through where it hasn't functioned, but it's getting better over time, so I would really recommend that you go ahead and get that. NOAA also has a local forecast page that'll help you, if you're a beach goer, anticipate those kind of hazards, rip tides, high surf, that kind of thing. And then I promised to drop the evacuation plan and maps into the chat. And as that's the last thing that I have for you tonight, I'll go ahead and do that, and I will be available for questions.
Do we have any questions for Mack?
Mack, if I went to Westside Community Council when you did a presentation there, basically about putting together a go bag.
Mm-hmm.
And is there on the website, is there just kind of a general list of things you should think about for a go bag?
There's not a general list on the website, but I do have one that we've kind of put together with past CERT classes. I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat, and if you guys are interested, go ahead and send me an email and I'll give that to you. The reason that I don't want to publicly post it is that we have a lot of specific item recommendations on there, and there's a concern about government recommending that you go buy a specific item.
Oh, okay, I'll email you. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question?
I have a question. Sorry, Dean, I tried to raise my hand.
Go for it.
Oh, there we go. I found the hand raised. Yes, I had a question. You mentioned during the presentation that no combustibles within 5 feet of your home. So I know that means no plants. Well, or my question is there going to be any exceptions? Because like I have a concern, like I have a neighbor, their lot's only 8 feet deep. And that means like no plants. So will there be any exceptions like for high water plants like, ferns or succulents? And are you going to be making everybody take their plants out? And this is like below foothill in like small, not large lots with an ocean view and or a house in a forest where you've got lots of big trees around you, but these are like really small little postage stamp lots. So yeah, so are you going to be making them take the plants out?
The answer at this point is I don't know, because the legislation is still in process of getting written. I suspect that there might be some carve outs for things like succulents or areas that have, you know, a limited amount of footprint around the house. And all of the versions of the legislation that I've seen so far have been focused on homes that lie in high fire hazard severity zones. I will caution you that after the most recent map update, high fire hazard severity zones encompass a huge chunk of the city. So
Yes.
as far as enforcement goes, it's always been the city's practice to do outreach and education before enforcement, but that would ultimately be up to the fire marshal, Mr. Brett Reed, not me.
Okay, so the answer is it's still up in the air.
It's still up in the air. As I said, everything that I've seen so far suggests to me that there will be some reasonable carve outs, but we'll see what eventually hits the governor's desk.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, I see your comment that says 2028 March, this became law according to CAL FIRE on Zone 0. What became law?
So the zone zero, the idea became law, but they're actually writing the regulations to define zone zero at this point. Does that make sense?
Well, I wasn't sure what Jim's comment was about, that's all.
Yeah, I've attended several conferences, and the plan was that this is kind of like the grace period. I know in new construction has to meet with this state fire marshal's office requirements, and also the California building code as far as the 0 to 5 feet in new construction. I can see it going on around here, but they're asking for compliance. And I took a class provided by CAL FIRE on inspections, and that's what they have told me so far. But we're also dealing with the state of California. So
Okay.
I hear absolutes and I hear grace. So somewhere in the middle, but it's supposed to happen by March, and they're really serious. I know our current governor is very serious about high and very high fire severity zones because the losses have become incredible.
Thank you, Jim. I wasn't sure what the question was, so I appreciate the follow-up. I know that Dennis had a question about lack of water due to generators not being able to pump the water out of their fire hydrants, and then Jim gave some information about plans to fill tanks to capacity. And then it looks as though Dennis has a further question, and he's asking if those tanks are fully operational. And I guess that means the backup tanks for water during red flag warnings.
So we do have backup generators as Jim said in the chat. We do have generators at all of our hillside water tanks, and Ventura Water does have a plan, and they do follow it based on red flag warnings. When I sit on fire weather calls with the National Weather Service, I'll give a heads up to Gina Dorrington, who's the Ventura Water General Manager, and most of the time her folks are already on it before I even raise an alarm. The generators are fully operational. They're regularly serviced by Public Works Fleet Services team. I actually personally know the guy who does it. He is my youngest daughter's godfather, and he's good at his job. One thing that I will leave you with is that there are real constraints on water infrastructure. Even if we have generators, even if those tanks are fully loaded, if we have something like the Palisades or the Eaton fires, there's still a chance that we could run out of water. Ventura Water will do our absolute best, but the kind of infrastructure that it takes to deal with that kind of blaze instead of just the day-to-day water demand just doesn't exist.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. We really appreciate you coming and giving us an update and providing us some links and some information and things to think about. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Next up, we have Shannon and Fredericks from the Ventura Unified School District to give us an update on what's going on this back to school season.
That is correct. Good evening, Tina. Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Fredericks, and I am Ventura Unified School District trustee for Area 3, including the college area. And school is back. We've been back in session for about 3 weeks now, and we're in full swing. In fact, I was a little bit late getting on this Zoom this evening because I was at our first back to school night at Portola Elementary this evening. I'll be at Poinsettia Elementary tomorrow, and we've got them one after another for about the next 3 weeks. So you might see a little extra hustle and bustle around your local elementaries in the evenings as they're hosting back to school nights. Also, for those of us in the college area, if you are around Buena High, just want to give you a heads up, they will be having their first home game on Friday night. So if you're looking for something fun to do this Friday, or if you're just sitting in your backyard wondering what that loud noise is, they're having a game over at Buena Stadium. Even though schools are just back in session, we've still been busy all summer. Trustees have been working, getting approving budgets, approving LCAP plans, and getting everything ready for kiddos to return to school. We also had, with the increase in immigration issues that were going on during the summer, we spent a good portion of our summer really kind of understanding what the role of the schools are. Dr. Castro was working with El Concilio, which is a local nonprofit, in order to create information for families. Excuse me. We recently had a Zoom informational about immigration rights and emergency family planning. And if you were not able to attend, the video link is available on the district website for anyone who might be interested in more information on immigration rights and things your family can do in order to be proactive. And always this time of year, in addition to being a school board trustee, I've been a teacher for the last 27 years. And it always is really an important message to drive home this time of year. If you have school-age children, please make sure that your emergency card, emergency contacts, all of that information is up to date so that in the event of an emergency, could be any of the emergencies that we've heard about this evening, earthquake, fire, falling off of playground equipment. It's always important for you to make sure that you have multiple contacts on there in case of emergency. So coming up, we actually just had a board meeting last night. We had a wonderful presentation from some of our local peer wellness leaders. And most of our schools, especially our secondary schools, all have wellness centers on them. And we have students who work as peer leaders and help connect their fellow students with services, helping them manage stress, helping them if they are going through any particular traumas that they need connected to services with. And we had wonderful, wonderful presentations. As a board, we are looking to include more student presentations at all of our meetings. All of our regular meetings are broadcast through you can watch them on our YouTube channel if you can't make it live, but the student presentations are really, really wonderful. And I'm grateful to all of our secondary peer mentors who joined us. We've really put a huge emphasis on student mental health and wellness. And we did have a grant. We are in the last year of that grant. Currently, we have about 50% of our wellness centers are funded through our general fund. So we're going to be looking to see how we can continue keeping those programs up and running, because they are really an incredible value to all of our students. And lastly, one of the things that I really want to put on everyone's radar that we did discuss during summer is the potential for school consolidations. It's really important for the public to understand that over the last 20 years, enrollment in Ventura Unified School District has dropped by over 30%, over 30% in 20 years. And so at this point, the board has given consent for the executive team to start gathering data so that we have plenty of information to go on to determine whether or not the consolidation of some of our campuses would be potentially a road that we wanted to go down. At this point, we have made no decisions. We have not even seen the data based on our own school. We've only had a report on best practices, and our executive team has been meeting with other districts in our county as well as surrounding counties to determine best practices just going forward. But it is really important for all stakeholders to understand that there is a potential there, and stakeholders should definitely remain engaged in what's going on at the school board meetings. Keep an eye on the district website. We also have a very robust social media presence, either Facebook, Instagram, in order to get updates on when we will be having school board meetings. I have also a Facebook trustee page for anyone who's interested, and I often post things that are going on in the school district as well as updates when we've had a school board meeting, or a heads up when we have one coming. So that's a great place to stay connected. And if you just type in Shannon Trainee Fredericks, it should pull up my trustee page. And so that is just a great way to stay connected, so you can keep tabs on what is going on in that regard. We also, just so you know, we are planning a huge push for town halls and excellent communication to everyone as we go through this process. We want everyone to be able to feel connected, to be able to have a say in what the district is considering. And again, I just really am grateful for stakeholders that reach out to us, either by email or by text, and also through my Facebook page, because you know, I am one of 5 trustees, but we're not able to be on every campus every day and understand everything that your families might be experiencing through the school district. So please feel free to contact any of us if you have any concerns, and we're happy to reach out to you and keep you informed. So our next regular board meeting will be on September 9th. We do not have an agenda set, but that is the next regular meeting at the district office. The general meeting begins at 6 p.m. and I'll take questions.
Okay, there's some questions in the chat, but does anybody else have any questions right this moment? The first one, and I know some of these reasons, but you can answer, Shannon, is
Yes.
why has the student population declined so significantly?
Well, there's a lot of research that's been going into that. I would say the number one issue has just been the unbearable cost of housing in the area. Beach communities, as everyone well knows, it's very expensive. Ventura is a highly desirable community to live in, and there continues to be housing shortages, and it's just really expensive. So a lot of young families with school-age children have simply been priced out of the community. So that is likely the number one issue. Of course, after COVID, some families determined that homeschool was a great fit, or perhaps a private school. So there's a lot of reasons aside from, what's going on with the school, just societal issues that have certainly created a decline enrollment. Most districts in California have experienced a significant decline in enrollment over the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, that's the information that I was knowledgeable about. There's another question here that asks, is there any talk to consolidate the district offices?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'll jump on that. We actually have 5 properties that have been deemed surplus properties that the district will be looking to repurpose. We currently have 2 that are in the process of getting bids from either developers or local community members. They are both in the East End. One of them is Jewett Estate. Well, one of them, I apologize, I don't have that in my notes to recall the 2 names, but one of them is a landlocked parcel that is surrounded by agriculture, and that will likely be, I can't tell you exactly what action the board will take, but it has very limited use, and it has no streets that it abuts or anything. It's completely landlocked by agriculture, so very limited in our use. And then we have another property on the East End that we will also be taking bids from different agencies or other entities who have ideas of how we might use that. We also have, in addition, to get back to the question about the district office, yes, the district office is actually one of our surplus properties. It's gone through the RFP process, and we will be working with a company in order to, that is already approved by the board, that will be analyzing the property and determining some potential best uses for that property, and that will be a conversation that is on the horizon as well. I would suspect probably within about 6 months that will be going out for bids as well.
Okay, and then one last question here before we get Doug on, because Doug is he's gonna have to speed talk for us if we're gonna get out of here on time. And it's his question: is there any further conversations regarding opening school fields after hours to the public, and how do we continue this conversation?
Oh, Doug, I think you and I need to go have coffee and just solve the problem, shall we?
Be happy.
Yeah, there are, from what I understand, this far predates me. I would imagine it far predates Doug as well. But for many, many years now, the school and the city have been batting back and forth the idea of creating a joint use agreement in order to be able to open playgrounds. And I truly think at this point we just need to sit down and hash something out and see what we can do. So Doug, let's get something on the schedule.
I love it. I'm on it.
All right.
Awesome. Love it. You got my number.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Shannon? Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us again this month. We look forward to hearing your next updates, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Of course. All right, now Doug, you're up. You're gonna have to.
Okay.
You're on the clock here.
All right. Just 2 or 3 topics then. Is that the best?
Thank you.
Okay. First, as you know, the city council is being held at Wright Library. So it's right in our backyards because of handicap accessibility that we're finally doing inside the council chambers, which is long overdue. I'm a little bit, as a contractor, a little bit perturbed. That's going to take 6 months to do it. But nonetheless, we'll be at Wright Library. It's actually turned out to be, I think, a pretty nice facility, you know. So come join us there. Usual times, 4 o'clock closed sessions, 5 o'clock open session. I want to mention what's coming up on 9/16, our next city council meeting. It's September 16th. It's supposed to be Main Street moves and conversation about, I think we all know that we've kept the streets open with the vehicle code. We went out to do the Pedestrian Law Act, which will allow us another way to keep the streets, to keep the streets closed. Thank you. Okay. And that is simply by the vote of the property owners that abut the closure parts of the street. And that was voting 56 or 58% no, that they want it to be open back up to traffic. We will be looking at our options in keeping it closed under the vehicle code, or do we reopen, or do we do a hybrid? And there's pros and cons to every one of those, but not the least of which is that there's the city had won the lawsuit keeping the street closed under the vehicle code, but there's an appeal out there that's going to be heard sometime. I believe it's at the end of September. And then there's also a inverse condemnation case out there that will allow people to report claims if they feel they've been harmed by having the street closed. So whether any of those are valid or not, it will still take a lot of legal action to vet them, and we know that. But we're looking to make a decision on the 16th that would be in our community's best interest and what our community wants. So I'm anxious to have that conversation. That probably took all my time.
No, you're going great, man. Keep going.
I'll try to hit the most important first. Sidewalks and streets. I made a proposal last night and had met with the executive team ahead of time. We have an on-call staff to work on immediate needs for sidewalk repairs and street repairs. For me, that's really not enough. I feel that we have had 25 to 30 years of putting Band-Aids on our streets and sidewalks, and it really shows. I mean, it's the number one complaint that we have out there. So I suggested, and I think there's a way we could do this, is working with our community councils and working with local contractors and creating a plan that will allow over a limited period of time for the community councils to help identify the worst offenders, the places that we really need to repair those sidewalks. And we already have a pavement management plan, but when it comes to sidewalks and curbs, I think there's things that we can mutually do together that will allow us to get the biggest bang for the buck and get even more repairs done. And especially when you look at the lawsuits that we tend to get for trip and falls and all the negativity, not to mention the blight and the way it looks in our neighborhoods, we have to do more than what we've been doing. Third is, I guess most important, because I know we'll be out of time, we know everything about Levis Park. We did a ribbon cutting yesterday. It's going to allow almost 100 acres to be brought into the commercial real estate arena that could tremendously help the tax revenues and the vitality and prosperity of our community. That's why it was voted 7-0 to do so. But I wanted to mention, because you probably heard some rumors about it, and we weren't allowed to say much about it until about a month ago. It's something that I've worked on the side with mainly Nick Bungie, and I think you guys have heard about it. I know, Sheree, you and I spoke briefly, but when it comes to fire and fire preparedness and prevention, there's still so much that has to be learned, so much that we have learned by all these horrific fires. But we have to do more. There has to be a way to create a better opportunity to not let such devastating fires come into our community. We could harden our houses all we want. We could make sure that we don't plant within 5 feet of the house. We could maybe not even put up that wooden fences that were kindling wood the night of the Thomas fire. But the reality is, anything we could do to create barriers between the open space and our densely built environment, we should be actively pursuing. There's been an agreement that's been accepted by all the parties involved to do something with the first 100 feet behind the houses of the Mariano Ranch from Lincoln to Hall Canyon. And that would become a buffer. That would be another conservancy. It's something that's very well vetted by all the parties, from the state legislators to the county and the county attorneys, as well as through the city and the land trust itself, of course. And there's a couple legal barriers that we're trying to overcome quickly, but the window is narrowing, but it is a fantastic plan that will give us the first true buffer, a barrier that will be 100 feet deep across from Lincoln to Hall Canyon, that will be allowed to have water tanks and other apparatuses to help fight fires, and other type of brush material, like it, for instance, the live oaks that appears to slow down fires from moving as fast as they did. And if it works in that area, I think a lot of us, and I know in talking with those involved with the land trust, that they'd be very interested in expanding that type of buffer across our entire hillside wherever possible. So we could truly try to put this wall of prevention and fire buffer between the open space and our built environment. And that's the only way we're ever going to try to even get our insurance rates to be somewhat reasonable again, to stop the severe threat of, without tearing down our homes and giving it back to nature. We have to do something to make it livable and financially feasible for us to live here in a very safe way. I'm counting on technology playing a role in that as well, but I can't control that as much as this buffer project. So get on the lookout of that. I think it's on YouTube already. And we just had another meeting again tonight. That's a lot already. There's about 10 more things I could have said. But you guys can always reach me at any time. There is a lot going on, and we have several meetings starting with 9/16 all the way through almost to the holidays, back-to-back meetings. So a lot's getting accomplished, but a lot of hard decisions have to be made, especially in light of the national scenarios, where now more than ever we see a lot of decisions being made, not so much because of the best decisions, as much as retaliation. And it's very hard on the local level to combat and make sure you protect your community against that sort of policymaking, but we have to do it. And I know we all want, no matter what side of the aisle people sit on, we all want the same type of communities at the end. So we should all be working together to overcome the challenges of today. And we have a lot of them. Cost affordability is absolutely number one issue across the state of California, and definitely in Ventura. And it impacts everything that we want for the future of Ventura. So I'm very much looking at many different solutions that we can do and address at the local level. So.
All right, Doug, look how much you got on quickly. That I appreciate that, because we're just trying to keep ourselves on time. Any questions for Doug? Go ahead, Kathy.
I have a sidewalk issue. I'm echoing.
Not that part.
I don't know who's causing the echo.
And okay, it went away. Good. I have a question about the sidewalks in that two years ago, maybe longer. The city sent Public Works out to identify all the uplifts and the weird things on sidewalks, and they numbered them with blue letters. Well, the blue numbers are wearing off the sidewalk. So is that still a thing, or are we starting a new program where we go out and identify the worst areas?
No, that's still a thing. I mean, they have that recorded and they know where the problems are at. Some are much more legally a challenge and financially then a challenge, but we should all be cautious, put it that way, when we're walking our sidewalks. A lot of the trees have uplifted. We have a very old infrastructure. But I just think that when I look at what we just passed last night is more funding for the on-call sidewalk repairs. They said the average sidewalk repair is $5,000 to $7,000. Now, I know even as a contractor paying a very good wage, which is probably comparable to prevailing, that in reality, the private sector could do the average 15-foot long, 4-foot wide sidewalk for probably about $1,200 to $1,500. So if we could somehow take the benefits of our community, our grassroots community councils, identify that the areas that are in greatest need, which I think we already know, but it'd be nice to know what the community councils think are the greatest need and highest traffic, and see if we could capitalize on some of the private sector that would be willing to get involved, as long as the city legally and insurance-wise allow to participate. And I think, Dana, you know a lot about insurance. And so those are two things that we would just have to overcome. But I think there's a solution there that can complement what our city can do through a normal process and maybe use those resources for those really grave situations that really take the talent and the knowledge of city staff.
Yeah, if a contractor's bonded and has insurance, it should be safe for the city to use a good qualified contractor.
That's exactly right. The problem comes, and I don't want to get into a lot of detail because of time and other reasons. I could talk to you anytime. But as a property owner, you could repair any sidewalk, any approach, the approach is your driveway approach, for instance, that you want, pulling a permit to do so, an encroachment permit. But you have to sign something saying you're not going to pay somebody to help you fix it. All right. As a contractor with a B license, which most of us are B licenses, you would have to have an A license to do permanent public improvement projects. An A license requires an insurance policy that only one provider can do in the entire world. And it's about 5 times the cost of most insurance policies. But if you're a homeowner, you could fix your own sidewalk, but you have to sign that you're not going to pay somebody to help you fix it. So there's hypocrisy and an issue there that I've been fighting for about 15 years and have focused on intermittent as a council member to correct. But it has to do with risk management and workings of insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's food for thought.
I do see that Vondi has her hand up.
Hey, Dina, and thank you for being with us tonight. Just when you mentioned the national level stuff, there was a lot of discussion about the big bill and the Channel Islands Park being taken out of the park system and a proposed uranium mine by Lake Casitas. Is any of that anything that we're talking about in Ventura at all?
So far, I sit on a lot of different committees on behalf of the city, about 11 different committees, including VCTC and Beacon and Ventura Regional Sanitation District and Clean Energy Alliance. So I'm on quite a few, and I'm honored and enjoy doing that. I know there's been situations we had to scrub grants that mentioned climate change. We had to talk about climate resiliency and not climate change. Anything with DEI would be automatically canceled. I know Ventura College has grants through that provided for a first-time family member going to college. And it appeared to be stating about a DEI policy. And then I know that that has not been reinstated. I know that the county paid for EV chargers. It was a reimbursement situation. And that grant was pulled because it talked about climate change. I know our water project, when we went back to Washington, D.C. in March, we were scolded actually and said, do not ever say those words again. Talk about resiliency. So we're at a level right now in this period of time in administration that it's all about wordsmithing. It's all about loyalty. It's all about trying to presuppose as a local official what's going to stand out that can be grandstanded on as something that goes against what our current leadership in Washington wants us to showcase. And it's really hard to set local policy based upon an assumption that doing the right thing isn't the number one priority. And so, without getting political, because there's good and bad everywhere, I do believe people are all good. Almost all good, basically. But we're going through some very tough times, and trying to be an elected official locally at a period of time that you can't just count on all elected officials or most of them to be making decisions based upon the greatest good for any community. We can't assume that right now, and I know that.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. I hope
Sure.
we don't lose our park, our Channel Islands Park.
No, I hope not to. You know, we're
Then,
can to work inside the means that we have been given.
and then I see a question here. Bert has his hand up.
Yeah, real quick, Doug, you might want to bring up Ventura Connect. Everybody's bringing up how to contact the city.
Yes.
Ventura Connect is something that basically what you end up doing is you take a picture
Yeah.
and then you bring up Ventura Connect, and then you can send that picture via Ventura Connect and also identify the location on the map where you took the picture. And by doing that, it goes to the city, and then it's forwarded to each individual department which it's responsible for, whether it be sidewalks, whether it be graffiti, whether it be trees down, anything you see in the city that you want to address to the city, use Ventura Connect. And think about this. You've got 300, 400 employees in the city. That's 800 pairs of eyes. You have 110,000 people. That's 220,000 eyes that are looking around the city. Utilize those eyes and give the city anything you have a problem with via Ventura Connect.
Thank you, Bert. You're 100% correct. And that's one of the exciting programs that started, I think, a year and a half or so ago. And it's a great way for us to make sure that we're all communicating where we know there's an issue, and hopefully getting on a database for a resolution or an answer to come back to you. So thank you for that.
And then just one last thing that's in the comments here from Mike Blumenberg. I had a question about what department is responsible for the upkeep and maintenance and new planting of areas like some of the general neglect and blight that you mentioned along our main thoroughfares like Loma Vista.
Mike, you were reading my mind. This has been a big pain for me the last couple of years, but especially this year in particular. It's really been horrific. My profession is landscaping, so it drives me crazy to see things not really taken care of. To answer your question, I've had this conversation probably every week for the last 4 months with the executive team, just as recently as yesterday with our city manager. And he's now seeing the same thing that we're seeing the weeds coming up in the medians and along Foothill and along Loma Vista. It looks abandoned. it really does look abandoned. And I know how easy it is. We may not have the money to immediately fix all the several hundred miles of roads, but surely we can afford enough money to have people go out and weed whack and make the streets at least look maintained. And so it's parks and public works, depending on where the weeds are coming up. If it's in the tree wells, it's most likely parks, is my understanding. If they're coming up in the medians, like where there's brick and it's coming up in between it, that's probably public works. But I'm really hoping that we could really push hard over the next year plus on city beautification and everybody doing their part to do what we can to make sure that our city is well kept. Whether we can afford to repave all the streets or not, which we're working on that as well, by the way, with other financial tools. But we surely can do a lot better at making our city look better maintained. And first thing is just knock the weeds down, you know? So yeah, very good insight, and help me continue to make it a high priority.
All right. Well, thank you, Doug. Kathy, did you have something else to add?
We wanted to announce the
Yeah, I was going to do
event.
that.
So I'll let you go to announce the Botanical Gardens event. And then we also wanted to announce if people who have a strong opinion about Main Street moves to be sure to communicate to your council member before September 16, your wishes on that front. So in writing or show up at the meeting.
Dina,
Yeah, that
just so you know, I didn't know we'd have enough time, so I put the Botanical Gardens event.
saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Barbara is always really good to let us know about events at the Ventura Botanical Gardens. The next free day is Labor Day, so that's this coming Monday. It's a great opportunity to get out there and enjoy that location. And then the other thing is this fall, your college area community council will be holding another gleaning event to assist our friends and neighbors with food insecurity. So be sure to check out our website at CACC Ventura and our Facebook page for details and upcoming events. If you don't follow our Facebook page, please do, because items like that will be posted there. I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. If you have other questions or information that you didn't get answered, please shoot an email to the website, and if it's information we have, we can forward it. And Doug has put his information in the chat there, so I know he'd be happy to answer whatever questions you've got. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, and thank you, Barbara, for letting me pinch hit for you. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
You're very welcome, Dina. And by the way, great job.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Good night, everybody.
Night. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
You're a great pitch hitter, Dina.
Thank you.
Yeah.